Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gamansing. Topping our newscast, the newly elected leadership in the territory certainly have a lot on their plate. And at the top of the list is the economy. One senator has a proposal that may seem risky, but he says it could be that remedy that could help the territory get back on even financial footing. News 2's April Knight has more.
Senate President Neville James says the territory is close to the brink of economic collapse, and he's drafting a bill that he hopes would steer it toward more solid ground. James's bill would allow Governor Kenneth Mapp to borrow $1.2 billion from the U.S. government. The large amount would take care of the local government's budget shortfall for fiscal year 2015, as well as other critical obligations, including those of the government employees' retirement system.
Pension reform, infrastructure related to energy, some working capital for the government, but not a major amount, but enough to allow for the new administration to actually have a chance to implement whatever initiatives they want to implement.
James's bill also calls for a flat interest rate of 5% instead of having it compounded. To pay for the loan, the government would use the extended rum cover-over monies. The government has been getting $13.25 per proof gallon from the Department of Interior for several years now, and $2.75 of that amount is extended from year to year. According to James, this extended part of the cover-over will be used to pay the loan over a period of 30 years.
Right now, that is somewhere around $40 to $45 million a year.
James also said the bill will have checks and balances in place to make sure the monies go where they need to go.
A provision that limits the amount of money they can access on an annual basis for working capital for the government of the Virgin Islands.
The bill has yet to be drafted, and it would have to go through the Senate's committee process. But James says if it's passed, it would break the cycle of annual budget deficit and get the territory back on its feet. Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
And News 2 will keep you updated on the progress of Senator James's upcoming legislation. At-large Senator Armando Rocky Liebert is calling for a hearing to discuss the ongoing property tax issues. In a recent letter to Senate President Neville James, he said the meeting's priority is to hear from property owners and officials in an effort to determine whether legislative or other action is necessary to protect residents. He said the effects of the revaluation and the implementation of the new rate of personal property tax in the territory are wreaking havoc on the lives of many residents, especially on St. Jonians. Count on 2 will keep you updated. Education Commissioner Designee Dr. Cheryl McCollum says she is pleased that the territory's report on proposed teacher shortages was reviewed and accepted by the United States Department of Education. The department's approval of the proposed shortage areas and specific grade levels, she says, may benefit student grant and loan recipients who are qualified to teach. If there are questions concerning academic loans, Stafford loan and supplemental loans for student borrowers should refer to the Federal Student Aid Information Center, and borrowers should contact the school where they received that loan. Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett invited the general public to a ceremonial swearing-in and reception this morning at District Courthouse in Estate Golden Rock, St. Croix. The ceremony, she said, was intended to give local residents who may not have been able to view the official swearing-in on January 6th in Washington, D.C., an opportunity to do so locally. Congresswoman Plaskett will also held a service of blessing, and that was on Sunday at the Frederick Lutheran Church in Chaldomali, St. Thomas. She said, "I represent the interests of the territory in Washington, so it's only appropriate that I take the oath in both places." Well, in some other news, under the new administration, a new public information officer will be updating the community on crime reports in the territory. Kevin Jackson has taken over the position previously held by Melody Rames. Jackson has sent updates on the shooting at Lionel Roberts Stadium that occurred on Sunday at 2:44 p.m. Police who responded to a 911 call found an abandoned vehicle with shattered windshield. But that's not the only thing they found. Here's more.
A concerned citizen alerted the officers to the body of a man in the cut adjacent to the fish market near the stadium. The responding officer discovered the body of an unknown male bleeding from wounds to his head and had also sustained a broken leg and was transported to the Roy Lester Schneider Hospital for treatment. Was later identified as Lakeel Wade. The victim was succumbed to his wounds in the early hours of Monday morning.
Meanwhile, on Saturday evening around 8:44 p.m., police received a report of a shooting at Coki Point. Officers say when they arrived, they discovered the body of a man later identified as 39-year-old Anthony Charles of St. Thomas, lying near the vendor building. According to Police Chief Darren Foy, Charles appeared to have sustained gunshots to his body. Police continue to investigate, and they're asking for your assistance if you have any information that can assist. Meanwhile, Senator Kenneth Gittens, Vice Chairman of the Senate Committee on Justice and Public Safety, stated he is annoyed with the recent Coki Point shooting on St. Thomas and with the high number of homicides in 1 month in the territory. According to Gittens, he is now calling for the coming together of all governmental stakeholders.
It is quite troubling that right here at home, in our small family-oriented community that says tourism is our leading product, we could not get by the first month of the new year without experiencing 5 senseless killings. We must shift manpower around and put the boots on the ground where they would count the most. With a global economy that's rebounding, we as a small territory cannot afford to let few thugs continue to take over our streets.
Turning our attention stateside, President Obama calls for new taxes on corporations and wealthy Americans as he seeks to upgrade the nation's infrastructure and boost middle-class incomes. In the $4 trillion budget plan President Obama unveiled today, nearly $500 billion would repair the nation's highways, bridges, and transit systems. While some severe weather has caused airline cancellations across the country, including into Cyril King Airport here in St. Thomas, due to the arrival of another snowstorm that affected the east coast of the U.S. last evening, United Airlines Flight 1519-1482 from Newark was canceled. JetBlue Flight 800-862 from St. Thomas to Boston was canceled. Delta's Flight 400 from St. Thomas to New York, that was actually on schedule. Now, flights into St. Croix are not affected by this storm. You are advised to call your airline ticket counters for more information. Meanwhile, keeping our eye on the economy, here's the New York Stock Exchange with our stock market watch. The Dow, NASDAQ, S&P all up. The Dow 196, NASDAQ 41, S&P 25. Coming up on News 2, a local author is making a difference when it comes to a healthier approach in New York, and efforts are underway to share that knowledge here at home. Plus, New England Patriots are Super Bowl winners, beating Seattle Seahawks. Don't miss News 2 Sports coming up. Senator Neville James is asking the Department of Licensing and Consumer Affairs to look into why the territory's gas prices are still soaring way above the national average at a time when gas prices are plummeting. The DLCA has released a statement saying it will exercise its statutory powers to make sure Virgin Islanders are protected against any unfair gas pricing. Now, as of Friday, the national average for regular gas was $2.05 per gallon, premium gas at $2.45, and diesel at $2.81 per gallon, according to the AAA report. As for the territory's prices, Hovenza's rack prices are holding steady, with regular fuel at $3.42. Premium fuel is at $3.74, while diesel is at $3.46. Now, these include the 14-cent tax Hovenza collects for the government. Meanwhile, there are so many scams taking place. DLCA is also reminding all consumers to continue to be on the alert. Currently, there have been reports of customers receiving fraudulent phone calls from individuals claiming to represent local communications companies. The caller falsely states that there is a security breach that they need to address and requests information to be able to access the customer's computers remotely. Once the customer provides that information, the customer is no longer able to access their own computer. Now, if you have received such phone calls or solicitation of any kind from individuals, call DLCA at 340-714-3522 in St. Thomas, St. John, or 713-3522 on St. Croix. Interior Assistant Secretary for Insular Areas, Esther Kiana, will be making her first official visit to the U.S. Virgin Islands this week and will be meeting with Governor Kenneth Mapp and other territorial leaders such as the Senate President, Chief Justice, President of the St. Thomas Chamber of Commerce, Acting Commissioner of DPNR, and more. The Interior is responsible for coordinating federal policy with respect to the territories of American Samoa, Guam, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, and administering and overseeing U.S. federal assistance provided to the freely associated states of the Federated States of Micronesia, the Republic of the Marshall Islands, and the Republic of Palau under the Compacts of Free Association. Well, we are proud to announce our News2 CBS website. Be sure to log on to cbstv2vi.com, and there you can view our nightly News2 newscasts as we bring you the latest in local, national, and international news, sports, and weather. Now, News2, of course, airs Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. and 12 a.m. You can also find pertinent information such as advertising rates and contact information. You can also view episodes of Best Bites, the show that takes you on a food lover's journey from local island kitchens to prepare fresh recipes, along with meeting fun island chefs and bartenders. Best Bites airs every Friday at 8:30 and Sundays at 12:30. Now, you can still find us on Facebook and YouTube. Again, the new website is cbstv2vi.com. Well, many are talking about the Piper Protocol, the insider's secret to weight loss and internal fitness. The author is Virgin Islander Tracy Piper. Now, Tracy has been featured in New York Magazine's Best of New York issue, T Magazine, Style.com, and Departures, among other publications. She's making a difference when it comes to a healthier approach, and she wants to share the knowledge at home. Virgin Islander Tracy Piper is the founder and owner of the Piper Center for Internal Wellness, an integrated holistic healthcare facility in New York City. With over 22 years of extensive training in Eastern and Western health practices, she has a degree in biology from UVI on St. Thomas, as well as certifications and degrees from the Swedish Institute and the Pacific College of Oriental Medicine, both in New York City. And that's just to name a few. Sounds like an easy journey?
You know, I went to New York with $100 to my name, and I stayed at my friend's house, and I lived on her couch for a couple of months. I went to school, I worked, and I came home, I studied, and now I have a beautiful condo. I have an amazing house that I'm turning into a retreat center called the Piper Institute, upstate New York.
A rude awakening is what she said steered her on the track that she is on.
There, a friend of mine died from severe constipation, and I never heard that someone can die from that before, so I started looking into how can I clean my colon out. So when I got my first colonic, rude awakening, what was happening, what was coming out, and it just changed my mind and my path on that. I wanted to do more about prevention rather than giving somebody a pill to take, and I got more into it because of my own health issues. I kept wondering why I kept gaining weight, and I couldn't figure out what the problem was, even though I was eating healthy, and realized that I was allergic to gluten, and everything in the Caribbean is cream of wheat for breakfast, oatmeal for breakfast, you know, and stuff like that. And so I had to learn to get rid of that out of my diet, but the inflammation was already there, and I ended up with hypothyroid and then Hashimoto thyroiditis, and stage 1, just about to turn into like thyroid cancer.
Tracy's holistic vision and dedication to internal wellness have helped clients of all backgrounds and ages.
Well, I work with Erin Bobley Heatherton. She is a Victoria's Secret model. I work with Kate Upton, one of the top, most beautiful supermodels. She's an amazing young lady. I work with Joe Cross. He actually did a documentary called Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead, and now has a major movement called Reboot with Joe.
Tracy says her mission is to empower individuals to take care of their health and dare to dream.
Don't let small little obstacles come to me, and because sometimes those obstacles are teaching you something that you can use later on. So don't say, oh, well, that was bad and I'm gonna fail and that's it. Like, no, dust yourself off, pick up, and okay, next, and don't quit. Excellent advice there. We'll share some of